Hello and welcome to Wrestleopinionated. This is our weekly show all about the shows of AEW. We are your hosts. I am Morg and this is...
Tranquilo, Matt Strange, and this is...
I don't know, Muir.
Freaking Nick Muir! Freaking! I'm gonna get this out now because it's been. I'm getting this out now because we were talking about it before you arrived, Morg. Hi there. If you're a grown person over the age of 16, stop saying freaking when you mean fucking. We all know what you mean. It's fucking great. It's fucking. It's not freaking this. Kids know what you mean.
Most of it.
Stop saying freaking. You're not 12. You've passed 13. You know what the word fuck is. Sorry. I'll take back over more. Welcome to our wrestling podcast.
Unfortunately, you see, I use it as a cover if I'm in the kind of area. It's front of house swearing to me.
We just learned not to swear.
Oh no! I never did. I just learned to substitute.
You need to master your sarcasm. You need the full deep waiter thing of being patronising and sarcastic whilst giving them whatever they want.
While being horribly polite to them.
Or you get banned from being a waiter for calling a customer a cunt. Twice, so I hear.
But that seems the better way to do it, because then you have to deal with customers.
It only happened twice, but they still managed to put me back on the floor a few times.
Welcome to our customer service podcast.
How not to call customers cunt and how freaking means fuck.
I thought you were going on about something completely different then.
No, we're not going on a Scott Steiner rant. That's for a future day.
So, to get this back on track a little, firstly, it's been a year, boys.
Hooray! We've made it a full year of not seeing friends.
Yeah, this is episode 53. And by my calculation... Well, me and Strange don't go out anyway, so...
That's true. I am a misanthrope. Look at my window. Fuck you, people!
I don't go outside for the people, but I'd like going outside.
It's been a year of Rona. It's been a year since Tiger King. It's been a year of no crowd. God. It's been a year of Austin Gunn, one-man crowd. It's been a year of terrible NJPW story decisions.
It's been 1 week since you looked at me.
It's been 1 week since you looked at me. I don't know. It's been a fucking year, bros. It's been a year.
Yeah, it's definitely been a year. Right, moving on. Back on track. Mm-hmm. So this might be the first time you listen to our podcast with a year. And as such, you would need to know we have a tier list, which is how we give our general reviews of the individual matches of Dynamite and our overall reviews of any of the other shows that we review. We are continuing with our abstaining from reviewing Dark until it gets good again.
God.
More on that later.
More on that later. But Mr. Strange, over to you to explain the tier list.
I've got an interesting one, boys.
Hooray!
I've got an interesting one, Ray. In a similar vein to plants I've killed, I give you this week's tier list in the ways my iguana has scared the living shit out of me. Right, okay. Tier list from the internet, from YouTube, from computer games. We don't go lower than a D. School systems, Japan. Also over here, but we stop at an A star. Our lowest rank is a D rank match. A D rank match is a match you have not enjoyed. Maybe it's pointless. Maybe there's terrible wrestling. Maybe it's a squash. Maybe it just makes no sense. Like the time my iguana got inside the cage round her heat lamp when she was younger. How did she get in? I don't know. How had she not killed herself on the 280-degree lamp? I don't know. Did I have to very carefully take it off and burn all my fingers? Yes, I did. Terrible time. Terrible match between me and the iguana. Didn't get her over. D-rank match. From there, we move up to a C-rank match. This is what we come to expect from our average match. It's a good match. We want it to be good. We want enough story. We want some good wrestling. Doesn't have to blow your mind, but, you know, you're going for that good experience. Although this is not a good experience, it's like the time my iguana tore out one of her claws, and I fucking panicked.
Oh, Jesus.
We had story, we had heart, I was all over the place. She seemed fine. I messaged my mate who breeds iguanas. He was like, yeah, they just do this all the time. She'll be all right. Completely fine. Claw regrew. Bit of a story. Everybody's happy. C rank match. From there, we rolled up into a B rank match. B rank match, match +1. We definitely want some story. We want some good, crisp wrestling. We want some information coming in. We want some information going out. Sure, it might slide a bit. Maybe there's not that much story, but the fucking match is great. Maybe the wrestling isn't that great, but that story's amazing. Like the time, it turned out my iguana, 6 years in, was a girl. And there were eggs everywhere.
More on that later.
And I got bitten, and there was blood.
That was good fun.
It turns out her name King wasn't appropriate. It was a good day. A rank match. A rank match, you have to have story. We want story going in. We want a conclusion, preferably story going out. We want the wrestling to be good, crisp, interesting, everything you need. Just, the best match of the week, possibly of the month. Everything's in there. And we're actually going into proper fear now. It's like the time my iguana almost drowned herself, which is pretty fucking hard to do on an iguana. Lay in the water, still, cold, freezing after I'm going to hold her, polish her up, heat her up. She fucking pulled through completely fine, because that's what happens with iguanas. They scare the shit out of you, then they're fine and make you look stupid. Which potentially the winner of an A-rank match could do. I don't know how to tie that one back, but it was a bad time for me. S-rank matches. We want everything. We want the end of a 7-year story where a man who has risen from the gutter to get his belt finally beats the mountain. Yes. We want story. We want it concluded, or we want it to go somewhere. We want to know. We want to care about the intricacies of this match. We want to see some paradigm-breaking stuff. We want to see countouts that shatter tension. Countouts forever onwards. S-rank match should stay with you. You should send it to your mates. You should tell the people about it. And obviously, the S-rank of iguanas making me shit myself has been the last month, which you have had regular weekly updates for on this show, of the many, many problems of an iguana, how we can keep it going, the activity, the violence, the using a vibrator in the bath. It's been a roller coaster, boys. It's been an S-rank roller coaster of lizard paranoia and fear. You know what? It's pretty much over. That's what I want. A conclusion to this great story that's made my life hell for a month.
Your life's always hell. Stop lying to us.
Yeah, but normally I bounce through it with a shit-eating grin being a bell end. This week it's actually been pretty rough. But that's our tier list. C, shitty. C, good. B, match +1. A, awesome. And S, a fucking legacy. That's our tier list. There you go, Morg. Flair's back.
Hey! So, as always, I was muted and in hysterics most of that. I nearly choked at the beginning. Moving on. News. Not a lot in AEW that we've managed to pick up this week. We've got one piece, which we're going to cover because we mentioned it last week. Andrade has had his release.
And Charlotte got it for him.
Apparently they're not married, by the way.
No, they're engaged.
Yeah.
Either way, she held the WWE hostage to get his release, and apparently Ric Flair was like, "Do it," because as I said, Flair knows how to hedge his bets. We can get La Sombra back, boys. La Sombra. More on that later.
Debatable, but hopefully.
Los Ignorables Day, wherever he goes. Country, place.
Nippon, hopefully.
I would take a Los Ignorables of America. I think it would be nice to tie together the AAA and NJPW Los Ignorables by making it a global faction. I think that would be really cool.
Yeah.
And there's got to be something for our shit-eating, tweener-loving dickhead club somewhere in the main roster. It's all heels and faces at the moment. We don't have a lot of, people who spit in your face to make you angry. More of that later. I'm excited. I want to see where he goes.
And then there was the thing that Gallows posted to him, so, hopefully that goes somewhere.
He tweeted Amigo at him, and Andrade tweeted back them having some beers, like a gif of beers. So there is a chance Gallows and Anderson on their ever carny increasing endeavor to pull everything into their world. I'd take Gallows and Anderson in a Los Ignorables of America. That they are very much ungovernable, but they'd have to give up the Bullet Club thing, and that's their thing.
I think of America. I think there's two guys.
Fox.
And yeah. More on that later. So, moving on from there. Normally we would do our social media of the week. It's been very quiet, I believe.
And I think everybody was watching whatever that WWE show was.
Fastlane. It was so exciting.
Was it on the Fastlane? How fast was it?
To be
fair, all I've got to say is the final match was like watching a Okada match, but with none of the tension or the high spots of an Okada match. So it was like, God, this is long. I may die here.
Which, considering who it had in it, that's quite worrying.
It is embarrassing because those two normally put on a good match.
Return of the Fiend and Headlock King Randy Orton.
No, it was
Reigns and
was that earlier?
Bryan,
yeah, it was Reigns and Bryan.
Another headlock for Randy.
He didn't get any headlocks on in that match.
No. Oh God.
He did get straddled by Alexa, so fair play to him.
Yeah,
I'm more of a live man, but I'll take it.
Oh Jesus!
I'd accept it.
So, and we're off the air after 1 year.
Review.
It's review time, and we start off as always every week with BTE or being the elite.
I was fully awake when I started writing this because I've got Dynamite as the start of my notes for this. So here we go, boys. This is
literally your one job. It's your one job.
Right, so we started with a scene with Christopher Daniels, the Bucks, and Matt Hardy in the Matt Hardy changing room, and they're having a joke, and then they start leg slapping. And then Hardy points to the no leg slapping sign, and they have to pay a fine for it.
You got to make a reference to that Vince thing. Also, WWE did a sparkler joke.
Right.
So
That's what it is. Right. Yeah.
You can't slap your leg in the WWE anymore, can you? You
get turned off. Of course. Yes.
So,
F's in the chat for NXT, boys.
There's no hope for Adam Cole. Right, anyway, so we move on to the good Adam Hangman Page, buying a lawnmower with his money that he won. So he's got his new lawnmower. Then he's having an argument with Stu because he pushed him, and then it finds out that Anna told him to push him. So then they're sort of all right with each other because Anna scares all of them, which is fair enough.
I love the fact that Anna scares Hangman as well.
She's the highest stat of all of them.
Yeah.
True though.
So then we move on to what did the Dark Order buy on Hangman's fucking credit card? So first it was a full body gimp suit. Oh no, sorry, it was a purple leisure suit that Larry bought. A leisure suit Larry joke. I don't know why they're doing jokes about leisure suit Larry, but here we are.
Some people are old.
Yeah, yes, I think it's just a computer game joke.
Okay. Then we got into a full body gimp suit that Uno ordered by mistake, thinking it was a full body pimp suit, which I kind of liked. Then they bought 5 planes and 5 automobiles because they liked the film Planes, Trains and Automobiles. Okay. So then 10 just bought a load of drugs.
I think it might be time for 10 to get another joke.
He does need another joke.
Yeah.
But he's trying, he's learning.
He is learning.
Then we had a dozen purple roses that Stu bought, but Uno covered for him, saying that his nickname was Stu, which I enjoyed. And then Silver bought 69 pounds of meat and a Japanese Rosetta Stone, which made me laugh.
He knows what to buy. Good taste there from John Silver. That's a me purchase.
And then all of them bought boner pills. which all came to tens of thousands of dollars. And then they started chanting bonus for the boys. And then Colt pays for it all in the end to help out, which was quite nice of him because he's like the dad apparently now.
Yeah, man. I'm down with that. I quite like Hangman as obviously becoming the leader and Colt as the dad. I thought that was quite a nice little...
Yeah, it was a good little
Stupid as the moment was, I think that
Yeah.
showed a nice dynamic.
Yes, I think you're setting up this, certainly on BTE, even if this doesn't necessarily translate properly to the main show, you're setting it because they have their BTE story, which
and you can give it a
leads
test
quietly, and yeah.
Then we had the Matt and private party bit, which I actually enjoyed more than I normally enjoy their bits. So Matt still got his sour grape / grape diet, depending on how you see it.
Feeding them to Blade.
Yeah. So it starts off with private party inventing a new drink, and then them wanting to share it with the Butcher and Braden Bunny. They don't want any of it. So Matt starts feeding... ask Anna to... not Anna, fucking hell. Bunny to unzip the mask of Blade and feed him grapes, which was a bit weird. And then they crushed all the grapes, saying how he would like to crush the Dark Order. Which I thought was...
Butcher and the Blade drink red wine. That's good taste. Good work, lads. As long as it's not a shit red. It best be Rioja or something. Sorry, welcome to my wine podcast.
Right, anyway, so we move on to Ito with the back dancers of the Dark Order dancing for her while she sings her theme song. Then she just looks back and calls them shitty dancers and leaves. And then all the Dark Order think she's cute, apart from I can't remember which one didn't think that she was cute, but they were all fawning over her.
This is the quality of journalism you come to this podcast for.
I don't care. I think it was Colt that didn't enjoy her, but I can't remember. I think Colt was playing Cornette in this scene. Then we moved on to Ortiz trapped in a horror film with Freddy, apparently, for around...
I think we're going to have mixed views on this, because I know you don't like it, Muir.
It was all right.
You do like it, Morg, and I'm on the middle ground, but I had my wonderful partner with me who loves horror, and she laughed a bit at the Freddy jokes. She's an 80s slasher horror fan.
Yeah, it had all the standard, Nightmare on Elm Street stuff as you wanted.
Quite like the Count using the numbers of the Dark Order members. I thought that would quite clever.
We don't have a 6.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. I like the breaking character bit.
I like the Sammy getting run over. I like the Ortiz continuously thinking, don't trip, don't trip, don't trip, while walking down a corridor, then instantly tripping like in every horror film. It was good enough. It was one of their better segments, because I normally really dislike the talking Spanglish people when it comes to their scenes. I don't think they're very good for the last month or so.
I loved original Spanglish. Spanglish brought me great joy.
Yes.
If they're going to keep...
It was like a weird cultural education.
It's very weird, because you've got this strange dynamic of... You've got Matt Hardy's warring with the Dark Order being the silly boys, but they're now part of this weird evil cult thing. It's all a bit strange. If they're just going to keep taking the piss out of film genres through the weeks, I'm actually all right with it, as long as I can get a giggle out of it.
I try to shorten it up a bit, like the martial arts. They seem to get a lot of time, which they can't quite fill as efficiently as they could.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's bad, but it's a lot of time.
Yeah.
Then we had Rising and the Vicious Vixens stealing shit off everybody to sell. So they go around stealing all the iconic items off different wrestlers, ending with them beating up Fuego de Sol for his mask, which can't be worth much, in all honesty.
Cody will give you a fortune for that.
Only if it's good Cody, not evil Cody who hates Fuego.
Fucking love Cody on stupid shows.
For the Fuego QT match, Cody put up 2 tweets, one saying "fuck Fuego" and the other one saying "go Fuego." So he's committed to his 2 Cody opinion on Fuego.
this Cody. I just hate the Cody we see on Dynamite. That's the only problem.
BTE Cody is what we want. Anyway, back on track.
It's Sammy's blog Cody now.
Yeah, that's the best.
Yeah, exactly. It is. Yeah.
Then we move on to private party drinking their drink, and then Hangman comes in, being the adult, seeing he's come into a bit of money in this time, and he's remembered that he owes them $12, so he goes up and pays them their $12, finishing off a scene from like 18 months ago.
That's some Gado booking right there.
And then nicks their drink.
Then nicks their drink that's worth even more to round it off, which I think's brilliant.
Yes.
So
mate,
yeah, it was a good BT. I think it was a solid low B for me.
I'm having positive thoughts about it now. I remember it because I don't take notes and I forget. We do this a year later, but I think you might be right.
It was definitely a B for me. I think it was a high. So the Raptor didn't want to watch it originally, and then because I think she'd just come back from work the day before and wasn't feeling it, and then we watched it, and she turned around and said, "I'm really glad we watched that. It was we had a lot of fun." She knew she was going to enjoy it because there was no Good Brothers on it.
Ooh, but I get it.
Yeah, I think.
Each to their own. As much as Nick and I are both Good Brothers marks.
Right, let's move on to something we can all agree on.
Oh, okay.
Elevation.
No, we have to do regular Dark first. I believe Morg has skimmed it.
Standard rules for regular Dark.
Anything good?
Anything good.
The Layla Hirsch match was worth watching.
Hirsch Rio, isn't it? Or is that next week on?
No, I think that might be this week. It was her against I can't remember her name. It was a really good big versus little match. Hirsch being the face, playing the face role, because it was, and so it was a good face versus heel, big versus little match where you've got Layla Hirsch who can pick up somebody who is like twice her size and throw them around.
Fantastic.
That was my standout match. Though
there you go.
Everything else was really short and really obvious.
Pointless.
Yeah.
It's all right though, because we've got a Dark Elevation where nothing will be obvious and really pointless, will it, Morg?
Yeah, so moving on, as I say, we don't review Dark, we will just pull out a highlight if we think something's worth it, as part of our now campaign to protest against the days that Dark was good. So we move on. We have decided we are going to review Dark Elevation, the show that is supposed to be all about elevating all the new talent that they've got.
I'm ready, Morg. I'm just going to jump in on you. I'm here. I've got a little bit angry and I'm clapping my hands, so I'm just going to talk over you now.
Over to you, Mr. Strange.
From the dictionary, elevation.
What does elevation mean?
Noun. The first entry, because you get different ones. The action or fact of raising or being raised to a higher or more important level, state, or position. Who did this show elevate? Firstly, we don't even get an intro. Like, at least with old Dark, it goes da-da-da-da-da-da-da, and you get Taz and Excalibur. And Taz. We don't get an introduction to this new show. They don't announce the team. No. They don't get fuck all. Just cuts in to a match that was medium at best.
The best match of the night, though.
It didn't elevate the commentary. It didn't elevate the wrestlers. It didn't announce the show. Yeah, sorry, Morg. Let's go through a walkthrough of this. You can take control again. I may scream at different moments.
No. This is your baby. Over to you.
Cool. We open up with Danny Limelight versus Jungle Boy,
which
the first and most
should be the best match on the card.
It may have been the best match technically, but even then there were slips. I noticed Danny Limelight has an I Am Groot tattoo next to his Spider-Man tattoo. That annoyed me. All right, okay. Jungle Boy wins because, shockingly, every winner in this entire fucking thing is obvious. So we don't need to bother with that. Yeah, we had a nice, solid cruiserweight match. Nothing mind blowing. Tony Schiavone decides to do the explanation of elevation 5 minutes into the match as opposed to at the start. Danny Limelight missed his 2 coolest moves, his rolling stomp and his body scissors into Crab. We did get a cool round the post Rana. Otherwise, and Danny Limelight instantly tapped out to a submission, and I fucking hate that. I hate that. I gave it a C. It was an all right match. I didn't feel elevated.
A night, though, I'd say.
So,
anyone else?
Quickly to throw back, the immediate tap out, the problem with that is, on the match I just mentioned on Dark, the Layla Hirsch match, there was an immediate tap out on that, and Taz explained why you tap out immediately.
Because you want to save your limb from being ruined.
Yeah, it's a legitimate thing to do. It's why Brock Lesnar tapped out immediately in his first UFC match. And it was because he knew he was in a position he could not get out of, and he was not going to risk not being able to have his second UFC match. And Taz explained it in the Leela. That's what I want. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Big Show, as charismatic as he is, didn't. Now Taz is the better color commentator to explain that because that is his gimmick. You know, the shoot fighter is his gimmick. But yeah, carry on, Strange.
On to the next match then. Miro, I haven't even written most people's names down, just so you know. I've just got Miro and Kip versus Jobbers. Nice to see some. It was nice to see Kip do some moves. I do like the time turner, even if I hate Harry Potter.
Yeah.
There was no moment of tension. If anybody got even the slightest advantage on Kip, put him in a hold or a submission or anything, Miro just instantly jumped in and pushed him over. I believe Baron Black was in the match.
He was, technically.
Sure. I gave it a D.
Yeah.
Right. We had a QT promo. I'm actually starting to think QT could work as a heel commentator, if I'm honest. He actually seemed fine in this little promo, driving stuff off and stuff. Yeah, that happened. Dwell fought Skylar Moore. Nothing happened to catch my attention in the entire match, and the commentary only talked about Swole through all of it, so she wasn't losing. That's a common problem on this Elevation show. They only talk about the person who wins, who you know is going to win. They're like, oh, this one's so good, and he does this, this, and this, or she does this, that, and the other, and then they win. They don't build up the other person so you think they've got a chance. No one was elevated. Sorry.
Carry on.
Then we had a gambling game advert that I skipped.
Fantastic. Just what we needed.
Right, okay. Possibly, and this is a rare one, one of my 2 top matches was actually QT versus Marco. And
yeah,
I've shit on Marco a bunch of times. Me ripping on Marco is quite a common thing.
Yes, mate.
I liked QT coming out with Comoroto, and this leads me to believe they're going to split the Nightmare people into heels and faces. Because obviously, Nick Comoroto was this giant dude who came out in a straitjacket and maimed people. Suddenly being with QT and Dustin didn't make a lot of sense, realistically. He's a mountain man from an asylum. Oh, he's with the goodies. A lot of good stuff in here. We had momentum-based Marco. We had a fucking... QT went to town on Marco. He threw him in the air, caught him in a Cabradora. He threw him and caught
as well.
And I honestly thought Marco could win this, just because faces, heels are telling other story. Yep. I didn't mind it, and the pretty people ran out of the back. I actually gave this match a C. I enjoyed this. I got to see Momentum Marco, which is Marco I like. Morg.
The reason this was one of the matches where you didn't know which way it was going to go is because both guys are named guys who are over.
Yeah, named mid-cards who are over. Good stuff. And they had a good time. There was a lot of big throws, a lot of fun stuff. Watch this one. Then we had a Lee Johnson promo where I just started writing out I miss 80s promos and cocaine should be mandatory. I also noticed Lee Johnson gave himself his own nickname. Never trust somebody who gives themselves their own nickname. If you came up to me in school and went, yeah, I'm called Big Shotty, I'd be like, you're called Lion Bummer now, and that's your name forever. Sorry.
It's very egotistical to expect to give yourself your own nickname,
Tay Conti had a match.
Yeah,
Negative one was having more fun in the background than I was watching the match. He fell over. He threw himself. He had a great time. I was watching him in the background, like, you have some fun, kid.
Yeah,
that's because he knew he was about to get another hug off Tay Conte.
Yes, mate.
I mean,
yeah.
I'd also be excited in that situation, so you know.
He properly fell sideways at one point.
I know, he proper planted himself. It was brilliant.
I can't tell you about the match.
No, it was a Tay Conte match. She did fine. She's getting better, but you know, it's not going to be exciting when Tay Conte versus some random jobber. You know.
Oh, whoa! We're going to elevate them all. Remember?
Yes, we are elevating. Yeah.
Seidel versus no intro jobbers.
Oh, this is an elevation match here.
From what I can tell, fine and solid. The other team's not that bad. Obviously, I really like the Seidels. The wrestling in this was fine. And if it had a story, or I knew the names of the other people, could have been a C. But it's not a C because no name jobbers, don't care. Hobbs and Hook on the mic. Hobbs not bad on the mic.
Yeah.
He's getting comfortable in himself. I'm kind of
down with his heel persona where he's just like, I'm better than these people.
Doesn't it sound weird? I want to see Hook topless again because I remember him looking like a hybrid of Bruce Lee and an average 17-year-old boy from an anime. In that one match,
like a tank, yeah.
Yeah, he's got weird definition, so he's a bit like Popeye-like.
Yeah.
But that weird thing. But you know, the more you do training and stuff, like the more weird you get at appreciating other men's bodies. There, we rolled into Danny Jordan versus Red Velvet. She's got a burn book. She's not a Nazi. She doesn't want to burn books. Ruth pointed out that Danny Jordan has what she calls Matthew McConaughey arms, as in they're quite short and her elbow ends at like, you know, just below the boob line. Time to get those wins back, Velvet, I suppose.
Yeah.
It was all right. One of the better matches, I'd say. Solid. Would have been a C if we had story.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're both really good. Once again, I don't feel like anybody was elevated. I feel like Danny Jordan was getting another loss, and I feel that Red Velvet is just ticking a wins list up again. Yeah,
the problem with this one is that Danny Jordan should be at the point where she should be getting wins now.
She should be
being
elevated.
Give me Danny Jordan against someone else, or give me Danny Jordan against Velvet and have her almost win, you know? Yeah. Then we had the Kenny Seidels moment, which actually really made me laugh, and I thought that was quite funny. I don't think Matt Seidel's the best person on the mic because I think his voice is a bit soft. Nothing against soft voice people, but you know, it doesn't help sell Nothing Means Nothing. But I like the thing of Michael Nakazawa, you fight him now, and I think this actually paid off later. So, the first thing I can actually say has properly inspired me on the show is this bit of storytelling.
It was some storytelling.
Dante versus Max. Dante from Top Flight versus Max Caster from The Acclaimed. Once again, this wasn't so obvious a match to me. They've both had sort of simultaneous pushes in their tag teams. Arguably, Max Caster has had a few more solo matches. The rap was pretty good. That's what I normally rate for.
Yeah.
He called him a 4-year-old. He made a glory hole joke. Brilliant.
Did you see? Now, I on the other hand thought this one was really obvious because Max Caster's been in. He was in the ladder match. They're obviously pushing him.
But we did have Top Flight versus the Bucks in a main event.
This is true.
Point,
no,
so.
That's fair.
Caster's obviously toned down is rapping a little bit. It wasn't quite so much as referencing a shot man this time. All in all, a little bit of a fun match. It's what I expect from Caster. Dante's still pretty good. I quite liked him trying to catch him. I really, really liked the pop-up low blow. I thought that was an amazing move. Yeah, he flung him in the air and kicked him in the dick. I was like, why has no one ever done that before? Otherwise, it was all right. You know, filler match.
Yeah.
As much as I'd like to build up my boys, I can't. Abaddon versus a no intro jobber, Ray Lynn.
So this is probably my jump in on this, but go on.
Ray Lynn actually, I enjoyed Ray Lynn selling the fear, and she had a good runabout. The rope backbreaker Abaddon's adopted is cool, and I still really like Abaddon's finisher. I gave it a C. I think if it had been built up a bit more, I would have been a bit more excited for it, but I was obviously a bit fatigued by this point.
See, I don't. Sorry, go on, Muir, and I'll cut in afterwards.
The only negative thing I have about this is why don't they do the weird camera shaking and the turning it into like a B movie when Abaddon enters after they did the first entrance of her doing that when it looked so good? Why not just do that effect every time?
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, that needs to be part. Yes, that needs to be added.
But carry on.
I thought Big Show did a good job trying to doing his best to put Abaddon over. This was the match where I didn't care because I knew who was winning, but I don't care because Abaddon versus Jobber, and it needs to be pretty blonde girl. It's high school sorority girl from horror movie needs to be, and this was the one I didn't care. It was like, this is just more getting Abaddon's character over. She needs to start moving up and working her way through because it's all very well and good.
It's been 6 months now.
Yeah, but it's all very well and good going on. Oh, she's only had 2 losses and they were both to Shida. Yes, but the only person of name that she's faced is Shida. I think she might have faced Red Velvet at the beginning, but that was when Red Velvet was being brought in as the jobber. She needs to start working up to some of the others.
An hour-long cinematic match with Yuka.
Yes.
Chasing Yuka around a haunted house.
But if Abaddon bursts out of a wall for a scene, I'll forgive all previous criticisms.
Well, I'm saying we've never been critical of Abaddon. She's the one female character that feels like a character.
When they started overplaying her when she wasn't quite ready, we said that and they stopped it. And she's been up rarer. It's probably because Nick Jackson listens to the show. Hi, Nick.
Yeah.
Right, Hobbs versus Cutler. Hobbs having fun. He's upped his cardio. He had some bounces around. He's got a good bear hug. Then it finished.
Yeah.
Diamante versus Layla Gray. Layla Gray
hang on.
right.
Can we go back one?
Oh, of course we can.
Sorry, I don't think Cutler should. If you're going to do these kind of squash matches, I think you've elevated Cutler more. It's all well and good to put a name versus a name. Don't do a name versus a name and then have a squash match, because that did nothing for either guy, in my opinion.
If you're going to do it on the main show and make it impressive.
Yeah, I was quite annoyed about this squash for Cutler because we went through the best storyline on Dark with Cutler, and all of a sudden you're pushing it back. You had these other people who were jobbers. You could have put Cutler against somebody like one of the.
We're not elevating
matches.
People.
Oh, sorry.
It's a lie.
Yes.
It's a lie. It means elevation, as in they have to go in a lift at some point to start this show. No, I'm with you. Cutler is.
They can have this match on Elevation, but book it into the 3rd Elevation where they've run a bit of a story before
have Cutler actually do some of the bring down the big guy minibus, like how Christopher Daniels fights Butcher. Do that. Diamante versus Layla Gray. Layla Gray seems all right. That match was there.
It's a match.
And I like Diamante. 8-man tag. I was getting pretty tired at this point, and when 4 jobbers walked out, and I went, I'm not even going to write their names.
Guys, I don't even know. Yeah.
I recognised the Captain Sean Dean's tag team partner. Apparently, he doesn't need Sean Dean anymore. They've just built a thing up, boys. They've got a military team. Keep them together. I was not excited for this match, and it had the Butcher in it. I want you guys to think about that.
This match is.
All of my notes, I have 2 notes, and they're both about music. One is the Butcher couldn't stop himself swinging with Private Party's music when it comes out, but he is the lead guitarist and singer of a band, I suppose. And Brick Aldrich's gear makes him look like he likes ska music. I wrote, meh, in big letters. Right, Michael Nakazawa versus Seidel.
God, this goes on, doesn't it?
Yeah, mate. Not the best comedy Seidel match I've seen, and a Nakazawa match I've seen. I didn't quite get the apple joke. I like the headphones joke that he couldn't hear the 3 count because he had his headphones on. A really good idea to show that build of the idea with Kenny earlier. Just a shame the match was just a bit mediocre, basically. I enjoyed the story moment of this. Kenny goes, "You can beat Nakazawa, you can fight me." Kenny comes out, goes, "Blah blah 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 blah." Tony Khan comes out.
Tony Khan.
Please, God, no.
Yeah, you are not good on the mic.
Remember how Russo said that he wasn't going to be somebody in TNA? When he first signed up to TNA, he wasn't going to be a character and all this shit, and then he was instantly a character like 6 months later. Yeah, that's how that felt.
And Tony was too nervous. He said Dynamite like 7 times.
Yeah. He's not. Use him in the way you've been using him, like the WWE used to use Jack Tunney. Going way back here when he was
Let me point. The president of the
but the commissioner, the president, who never really did anything until those important moments when it was now he could talk and do it. He could do
he was a wrestler,
he would have been able to do this. Tony Khan should be that menacing figure in the background, used as a babyface, menacing figure in the background to pull heels into line when they're running roughshod. I'm not talking about how things are booked or anything else. That's how you use that type of character. What
Tony
he
Khan
did
should
to
buy out Wardlow.
But what he did to Kenny is exactly what the Tony Khan character needs to do. Do it on the big screen so you can reshoot it until he gets it, till he's comfortable with it. Or you have you have somebody else come out and do it for him who can deliver the promo.
Wardlow.
And then what they need is a laptop to bleep and to tell it through that. That was the best one that WWE ever had.
Oh God, it was terrible, but yes, that would work. It was a very healy, but yes, something like that. He was not comfortable out there. And him saying, "I said I wouldn't do this," and then doing it is
very money marky.
Oh, I forgot the last match.
Oh God.
Yeah, on to the last match.
Sorry, I got distracted. I was getting ready to take to do letters maths. In fact, at this point, I'm going to pass it over to our Joshi correspondent and expert, Nick Muir.
Okay, right. Well, first of all, with this match, I love Maki Ito. I think she's a great character, and I enjoy Rio enough. She's, very bland as it comes to her as a Joshi. She's very much, I have a cute smile is her gimmick.
White meat.
Yeah, it's very boring. Having two men that have no understanding of Joshi wrestling commentating Joshi wrestling must be fucking hard for them. I feel for them. Not having Excal there to commentate is bad. You got all of Ito's greatest hits. You got a headbutt, her swinging DDT, and her roll through Boston Crab.
Really good. Her bouncing, a roll through Boston Crab's great. But I am going to give a shout out to Maki, to Riho's bridge under the headbutt that Maki just Kakeshi.
That was great, but it was good enough. I enjoyed this match, and it was a good ending match for this show. But I was so fatigued by the end of it. I was like, this is, a good comedy match. I'll give it a low B.
That's literally in my notes. It says, fine, good even, but I'm so tired.
It felt like a main event match.
Yes.
I enjoyed it. It was good. It was enough to make me go. It finished the show on a high point, but I was all the way through it going, who got elevated in this? This is not what was... This would have been fine had the rest of the show been things like Danny Jordan versus Kylan King.
You needed
Captain
a shock ending.
Sean Dean versus Baron Black.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
And then the ending of it should actually have been this should have been your main event, and I'm using the inverted commas sort of thing. And then you should have had the Tony Khan, Kenny Omega bit for your big shock. But we are setting up Matt Sydal is being elevated to having a world championship. And then everything would have felt like this should be what this show needs to be. It's supposed to be, in my eyes, is
dark.
AEW's NXT. This is where we use all of our new. This should be AEW's NXT. What NXT was originally supposed to be when it was taken over by Triple H, and it was good. The feeder program. I'm talking good NXT, and it should be characters getting over for these new people. Do the big outlandish characters like Abaddon. I have no problem with Abaddon being your standout women's wrestler on this new show, and you just feeding her jobbers and her just keeping her horror gimmick going. That's fine, because this show should be all about building those new characters. Then you have your big bit with some main event with two named people. I arguably would have had Maki Ito winning. And I know that's actually like heresy.
That's blasphemy.
Yeah,
that's
heresy.
Because first of all, you have to convince Rio to lose, and then secondly, you've got to convince Maki to win.
But you get my meaning. And
completely. You want a shock ending at the end of your new show, definitely.
Yeah.
Or a new show which was meant to inspire us that they've built up this hype for, I am entirely underwhelmed.
It felt like Dark 2.
And I also like to raise that the commentary team is not as good as Dark 1. Nowhere near as good as Excalibur and Taz. They're the only things that carry me through Dark sometimes. They're joking and having a good laugh about it all.
Show was just see, I know how charismatic and funny he can legitimately be, having seen him do those kind of programs. Not talking.
He should have come out with the Captain Insano gimmick. He should just be Captain Insano from The Waterboy.
But you know, and I know that he can do, and he was just very quietly understated. Yes, he was doing his best to put people over, but as you say, he just was putting over the person we knew was going to win.
Yeah,
and
that doesn't elevate people.
Yeah,
that maintains the same standard.
I'm sorry to say, it's a low C.
It's a D for me, mate.
I'm giving it a D. I'm getting for a new show, for hype, for something I went out my way to watch, hoping it would be like Old Dark, for something that has brought in new names and was meant to go, it's gonna be like this. They did nothing new, elevated no one, didn't even announce the start of the show properly. It's just another excuse for people to get numbers on their win sheet, because that matters.
Yeah, it feels like a worse version of Dark. For me, I'm sorry.
At least we get to say Dark doesn't matter, and we'd ignore it.
I don't know. I think this is a misstep. I think it needs to go down to maybe like 5 or 6 matches, maybe 7 or 8.
2 hours, right? But we're labouring this now. We didn't enjoy it. We need to move on to something else. I didn't enjoy that much. Welcome to our wrestling podcast. We're normally very chipper. I promise you.
We'll be chipper by the end.
I'll be chipper by the end.
So, moving on to Dynamite. It's time for the Dynamite review. Opens with JR Schiavone and Excalibur on commentary. Opening match, Penta versus Cody with Arn Anderson. Cody wins with a roll-up. Thoughts on the match and score did you give it?
I'm sorry, boys. I've got to keep this negative train pulling.
No, I'm going before you. I'm bringing the positivity back for a small amount of time. I like Alex and Penta. I think they're a great combo.
They are great.
I like Alex looking smug because he knows people can't hurt him for being a translator. It's a really good choice.
It's so good. He's just like, you can't shoot the messenger. It's brilliant.
This match, really strong start. We had a good start, a solid brawling start. We get to see Penta's sling blade. How I've missed it. He's back to twat Penta. He stole a little green hat and he put it on.
Beautiful.
And he bounced about. We had limb work. We had Cody's solid American wrestling. Penta kept trying to taunt all the time, and it cost him every single time, which I love. Cody did a destroyer. That's -1 for me, dog. Once again, somebody kicked out of the crossroads, so Cody still needs a new finisher. He did a weird backpack thing. That was kind of weird / cool. Then we got the arm break, and I was like, yes, my boy's back. And then Cody rolled him up and won. This broken arm. And then it turned out the whole match was just a vector for them to explain QT is still not happy with the Nightmare family.
God.
So we couldn't even have a match that was about Penta and the Lucha Brothers. It had to be about the wrong person won, lame ending, save the QT stuff when you haven't got one of the most popular wrestlers in the world. I mean, at least he stalked off like a twat, which is good. Overall, the match is a C. Nick's going to disagree with me. Technically, it was fine. Technically, it was interesting and quite good. We got to see twat Penta. How dare you use Pentagon as a vector for your fucking QT Marshall story? How dare you? How dare you win all the time? Fucking nightmare, people.
I hate them.
I'll pass it over now.
I hate them so much.
Gave it a C.
I gave it D 5 minuses. That was my result. I want that written down in the record. Oh God. I was like, oh, Penta's eating a lot of shit in this match. That's pretty good. He's obviously going to come back and be a twat and win it out of nowhere. So then he broke his arm when I was like, oh, great. You know, Cody's going to be sent home because he's got a broken arm and he's going to go home for his maternity leave. Then instantly he just grabs Penta and pins him. I'm like, what the fuck just happened there? And then we get the story that there's Dustin in the ring. There's fucking all the guns in the ring, so they outnumber Penta 4-1 already, and then they start getting snarky that QT was late to make it 5-on-1. Like they needed help. It was fucking
Sometimes
stupid.
you need those numbers. But D and 5 minuses, you say?
Yes, please, mate. Mostly because you're using one of my favourite wrestlers to push a story that is, at best, a dark elevation story.
Nobody was elevated. Nobody was elevated in this match. So, go on, Morg. Morg, bring it back.
It was a C. This match should have been a B at least.
Yes.
You had Cody and Penta in there. This should have been a B.
Yeah.
Penta broke Cody's arm. That is the coolest fucking gimmick in wrestling. Fucking use it properly. Go. I know we harp on about this. It is almost our trope. Go and watch Penta in Lucha Underground, Cody. Go and watch what happens when you do Penta as the arm breaker and people fucking sell it. You would have come back.
More wrestling than Dubsy Dub.
You would have come back as such a fucking hero coming back from that.
If he came back with his arm in a sling, you
did the proper Penta arm breaker. The breaker of bones is one of the, and he doesn't need to be your main event guy. He will be your main event guy, and he will make you lots of fucking money if you bring back the breaker of bones. Yeah, it got a C. The match was passable. It should have been a B with these two people. It should have been a fucking A with these two people in the ring.
Yes, mate.
But yeah, and I just didn't care about the ending, so I didn't even put that into my rankings. It was just like I just ranked the match and didn't even care. It was just like, well,
that's probably the best way to rank it because it doesn't deserve your attention. How bad it was done. Yeah, fair.
Ending was so shit.
Yeah.
How did we get to? So as this is a year long from our podcast, I'm just going to bring this in now because I was thinking about this. Do you remember our first ever thing we did, Strange, which was and it was part of my joke in the lead into it, which was who is the best veteran wrestler in AEW and why is it Dustin? It was Chris Jericho was the one we agreed on at the end, but the lead in joke was and why is it Dustin? To now.
Can't put people over. He can't put people over.
Unless it's his brother, because he did put his brother over well in that one match. But,
when was the last time he lost a match that wasn't that match?
1842, back in the old days.
Dustin needs to go back to wrestling people on moving trucks.
Yes, mate. Teach him where he came from.
Just have a loss. Just have a loss, Dustin. Dustin, lose to Penta or Wardlow, and all will be forgiven. There you go.
Yeah, have your arm broken by Penta. Right, moving on. Young Bucks backstage interview. Don Callis interrupts. Thoughts on the promo? Any scores?
Thank God Don Callis interrupted this. I love him.
I like this, but this continues from my previous criticism. It starts off with, we're going to get you, Lucha Bros, but then they stop talking about the Lucha. Do people in AEW just hate Mexicans? I'm just throwing that out there. Otherwise, this was fun. Don Callis is great. I love all this sort of stuff.
Britt Baker did say that Rosa should go back to where she came from or whatever.
They hate Mexicans.
They do hate Mexicans.
Build the wall! Don Callis said Kenny was a wrestling god, so I wrote down stairs in Ibushi.
Ibushi's entered this chat.
Strong story work. I enjoyed this. I gave it a B. Bit of fun.
It was solid.
I criticised the just skipping over the Lucha Bros again.
So moving on from there, so before we get into this next match, and I know we've talked about Elevation. I want to just point this out. Why did Danny Jordan not win on Elevation? So she was elevated to actually be
beyond this show.
Jade Cargill versus Danny Jordan. Cargill wins with the Jaded. I gave it a D squash. Does anybody have anything to say about this match?
I've got 2 notes. That first kick looked brutal, and I still quite like the Jaded. It didn't look as good as when Velvet took it though. D.
Yeah. The Jaded is a cool finisher.
Moving on.
So I have them down as MJF and Co. They will be referred to as MJF and Co. forever.
The Horsemen.
Because the Pinnacle is the stupidest fucking faction name ever. It sounds like a pimple.
I didn't mind the Pinnacle. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I didn't mind it. I was like, oh, so they're the Pinnacle as soon as he mentioned. When Tully first said it, I was like, oh, they're the Pinnacle. I wasn't like, oh, this is great. I was just like, oh, okay.
It's only because the Prestige has already been taken, which is a much better name.
They're just the 6 Horsemen to me, right?
The MJF and Co. in-ring promo. What did you guys think of the promo itself, apart from the name? And did you score the promo?
I did. I'll go through my notes in order. It starts with Bless Tully. I like Tully. I think he's actually got a really good promo game.
Yeah.
We got a hairline joke. We got the usual internet jokes from MJF. As much as I enjoy MJF, sometimes calling people fat losers and virgins does get a bit tiring. Wardlow had an amazing shirt on. MJF called Sean Spears Double S. Should probably avoid Double S references, MJF, especially if you do. Just throwing that out there, MJF.
God.
Does this work under the one rule of that he's the one who's allowed to make that comment?
I mean, he's allowed to make it, but maybe you shouldn't be bringing that up. I don't know.
It's SS Sean Spears. Oh, God.
Just at least you'll be dressed nicely next time in some good old Hugo Boss.
And my final note is, why does Wardlow, largest of the Pinnacle, simply not eat the others? As much as I think the name is underwhelming, and they should have just jumped into a Horseman thing, I gave it a B. Overall, it was a fine announcement of a new group. They've got a lot of character there. They know who the talkers are. Solid. Good even. I enjoyed it.
It's solid. I am happy to see these guys together, and I think it'll be a good stable.
Yeah. So Matt Hardy, Private Party, Butcher and Blade with Bunny versus Jurassic Express, the full 3 members, and Bear Country. Matt wins with the twist of fate after shenanigans. Thoughts and scores?
I know Nick and I disagree on this one. We had a little Hardy explanation at the start that was fine. Butcher looked sunburnt as shit. I wouldn't wrestle if I was that sunburnt.
On the beach too long,
man, he was pink. We had a solid clusterfuck start. I actually really enjoyed, and Nick's going to disagree with me on this, the fact that Bear Country couldn't work with the other team. Like, when they just threw Marco and they like, what are you doing? It's like, well, we're throwing and when he hit Jungle Boy in the face with whoever it was he had on the shoulders by accident, I kind of like that. We had a great hot tag from Luchasaurus after Jungle Boy ate shit for 90% of the match. It ended.
Yeah.
I gave it a questionable C for story work and building, possibly a low C.
I think it's a C. I do think it's a C. It may be just me, but I really hate we just can't work together tag team argument, you know. I just feel like it's the level of WWE shit, where people just can't work together. It's like, you're here to do a job and earn some money by winning this wrestling match.
Yeah, but I don't think it was that obvious. Like, Marco lost his shit when the other guy just took a tag, and he accidentally hit Jungle Boy, and they threw Marco because fuck Marco. I'm on the opposite side of the fence to you on this one.
Completely fair regarding this one. I think it may be me being a bit jaded on this one, but that's how I feel on that. But it's still a C match.
Cider, is it good or bad anti-teamwork?
It was see, I'm a bit with Strange on this. I think it was telling a story that Bear Country can go up against Jurassic Express and hopefully get put over by Jurassic Express, who are really good. I was being very careful to not use that word.
We're using that word all we can now, Morg. It's our new word.
So I didn't have a problem with that. They haven't overplayed. They haven't overplayed. See, I try and take AEW for what it is, and they haven't overplayed we've seen people that shouldn't be able to work together just work together. And this was the first time they've done it, and they did it in such a way that it felt like they were setting up to something. If it goes nowhere, if it goes nowhere, I'm downgrading it. But as it stands, I think it's a straight C. It gets downgraded if we don't get a Bear Country versus Jurassic Express feud. I don't just mean a blow-off match. I want a proper feud.
It needs to build into something.
Yeah,
I can take that.
Yeah, and I think I agree with Strange. I think throwing Marco was a perfectly acceptable thing and sensible thing to do, using Marco as a weapon. But they used him as a weapon, which is what you use Marco as. So Luchasaurus only really got pissed because somebody nicked his gimmick. That's acceptable. And the Jungle Boy thing was an accident. So I'm reserve judgment. So
something I did enjoy.
I was going to say, moving on. Are we scoring this? I think we should. So Mox and Kingston promo.
We had talking shop a moment. We had talking shop references. We had a Chad Too Bad reference. We had a Forbidden Door reference. Eddie is sort of Mox's straight man. They're fucking phenomenal together. I loved it.
Yeah.
I don't like them, and not just because I bought Talking Shop on Mania. It made me fucking piss. I'm not gonna lie. This was great.
Yeah. At first, watching it, when Mox was doing the silly, it was a bit like... but then they both started being silly, and then Eddie just went into the, right, now we're going to stop being silly. They felt like a couple of veteran badasses. This felt like Cowboy Mox to me, with a bit of the humour in it.
You can have humour in Cowboy Mox, I'm down for that. Him and Eddie, wonderful together.
They're great together. They should not be split up.
Yeah, do not split these two up now. You've done they've had the bit. I want the two grizzled, badass veterans who
You don't even need Eddie to wrestle much. You can just have him as occasional tag team partner and friend of Mox.
Oh, fuck off! I like Eddie's wrestling. I enjoy that.
This has to, for me. This has got to lead to the next main feud for Kenny being Eddie. It is a good bubbling feud. Eddie's face. Go on.
I'm more saying for Eddie's health and his age, not that he can't. He doesn't have to be in the ring every day.
How old is Eddie Kingston? I'm looking, don't worry, carry on with the show.
Yeah.
It was great.
So definitely an A from me as well. I think a high A as well. I really enjoyed this promo.
He's only 39.
Is he?
Okay, I think he's younger than Mox.
He's a lot more grizzled than he looks, all right?
But that really works. That's what makes... I don't think Mox is actually that old thinking about it. I think they both they play grizzled veteran really well. It's because of their style works really well. And the two of these together. But we'll get more on that in a moment. Christian Cage...
Mox is... one sec. Mox is only 35, boys.
Yeah, exactly. They come across... Yeah, they come across as... Their characters work.
Man.
Yeah. Christian Cage interview. Any thoughts, scores?
No, C. No, actually lower, D.
I only wrote down 5 words, which is, oh God, he can talk.
He's allowed to talk, D.
I remember it being boring.
Yeah.
Sorry.
This it was all right.
Yeah, it's a low all right as well. That wasn't even like a positive.
Positive all right.
It was all right.
Yeah.
Don't hotshot him. Don't hotshot Christian Cage. Don't be TNA.
Yeah, if you're going to do something with him, prove to me that he can outwork him. He did say that in the promo that he knows he's got to work his way up to Kenny. That's fine. So sticking with some people, I want to see him versus Jungle Boy. I want to see him. Okay, maybe he needs some heels to work with, but yeah, I want to see him with the guys that can work. Show me that he outworks everyone. Moving on.
Oh no.
Kingston and Mox versus the Good Brothers. Mox wins with an inside cradle.
Oh god. Okay.
We'll move on to the what happened afterwards. What did you think of the match, and what score did you give the match?
This was a lot of show for very little. I am an unapologetic fan of the Good Bros. I think Gallows has great strikes and looks massive.
Yep.
I think Anderson is a remarkably good wrestler that doesn't get doesn't get as much attention as he can because he just looks a bit generic. I'm less of a fan of Moxley in his wrestling work, but he's been growing on me, and I love Eddie. I've largely been positive about all of these people. This was not the match I wanted. All the work that did happen was solid. I did not need that fucking break. In a match of this pacing, it did not need that break. This match was fine on story, but dull on wrestling. In fact, my only note on the actual wrestling is the fact that when Mox did a tope into Gallows didn't move and then sort of had to throw himself over. I'm assuming he...
Hang on, did you get an ad break in this?
Well, it went to picture-in-picture and they talked about it. There might have been
Okay, right, yeah.
All in all, this was a dull match. I gave it a low C for story work and such like. Boys?
This is going to be interesting.
I also was bored to tears in this match. I'm sorry. I really was hoping for something good from these four, because I individually like all these four, and this match was just a bit slow and a bit boring, and nothing really happened. So, yeah, it was a match. It was low C from me.
Well, I'm outvoted.
Yeah, what'd you get?
I gave it a B. I really enjoyed this. This was the story of two grizzled veterans going up against these other guys. They got beaten down. They came back. They got beaten down again. Yeah, this fed straight on from that promo. I could have been on a high from that promo, but that's exactly what I got out of this. It was the two grizzled veterans. They won with the inside cradle. I think this is the moment that... JR made the comment, saying it was because I've specifically written it down as inside cradle, not roll up, that, that's a wrestling move.
It's just something I like that AEW do, to be honest.
Yeah, I enjoyed this. I enjoyed this story of these two. Then the follow on with the beatdown on Mox. Kenny comes out with the chair. They do the leg break on Eddie, which can push him to one side while Kenny has the mini feud with Matt Sydal. They're going to do the neck break on Mox. Bucks come out and no, you're not doing that.
Oh, the story work afterwards was a lot better. I'm willing to go into the story work.
I think also that possibly elevated my score as well. But yeah, I enjoyed this, and I remember enjoying it because I really enjoyed the story in the match. This wasn't a high-paced, high-move match, and yes, it probably was a bit slow, but I say, that was what I got out of it.
How we've turned round. You're cheering on the carnies and slow punchy people, and I'm mad about it. What a change. I'm with you. The story work was great. I just found the match boring.
I did like Kenny coming out to Tam's theme, though. That was the best part of this match.
We may or may not people may or may not be positive about this as news is spread. As I'm aware, some people are very pro Good Brothers, like me, and some people are quite anti them. They have dropped the Impact Tag Team titles now.
Yeah.
To Finn Juice, so we might see more of them, or they might just go to NJP.
NJPW.
with Andrade.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So we move on.
So, moving on from there, Sting and Darby Allin promo, Lance for the interrupt, and then Team Taz comes out, and my notes just go, no!
I screamed at my TV.
I'm so angry.
I've got Dub's notes on this. Darby, as much as he's got a great gimmick, and I love his Guinness advert, he's not so good on the mic, is he?
No.
Also, he said, "How much times must I defend that title?" It's bad English, Darby.
This is why you give him Sting. To be fair, this is why you give him Sting.
Jake called Darby a weenie, and that made me laugh.
Weenie.
He called him a weenie, and I was like, "That's amazing." And then Team Taz came out, and I screamed, and I was like, "God, please no!"
Mm-hmm.
And then Cage actually sort of broke the paradigm and went, "No, you are the icon. I do have respect for you." And I didn't hate it. I gave it a C as an overall experience. I quite like the Lance Jake versus Darby Sting sort of build thing.
Was fine, yeah.
And Cage going, "Yeah, good work, Sting." I was like, "Oh, thank you. It's about 8 months too late, but thank you."
I'm glad something developed from that story.
Yeah, I gave it a C.
So, do you have anything to add, Mr. Muir, before I give?
No, I was happy with it by the end. Like I nearly had a heart attack when I heard Taz talking again when they were out. But it was solid by the end.
Okay, so I've got two things about this. Me and the Raptor really liked it. The Raptor's point of it was different.
Yep.
Cage doing
exactly.
that thing, it was different. It felt.
Yep.
Cage then getting the shit off Team Taz, I like, because, and I know I keep harping on about this, but as the Raptor point out, Cage is friend-shaped.
He is friend-shaped.
We know that Cage is good as a heel or a face, and we still don't have the monster face that I think AEW needs, and something that I, as a fan of baby faces, particularly like.
You can have a monster face when I get a heel.
Yeah, when we're allowed one heel, you can have some faces.
You've just got one. You've just got QT.
Oh, great!
Cool.
Can we take him back and get something else?
You've got Penta. Remember, he lost to Cody.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, let's carry on.
Yeah, I'll see where this goes. It was interesting. Cage versus Hobbs could be interesting.
Yeah.
And Cage versus Ricky Starks could be interesting, because that could be
Cage
different.
knows how to fight little guys. He knows
how
to. And
perfect, that's it.
Yeah, Cage versus Ricky Starks, putting Ricky over as well, because I think that's actually the way to go. That could be interesting and an enjoyable match. So let's see where it goes. But yeah, thank you for doing something different.
Yeah,
both of us.
Are we just setting up for Cage versus Lance? Again,
I'll take it. I like both of them.
Yeah, I'm not against that. Right, moving on. Scorpio Sky promo. Thoughts?
I just wrote down fine. So I assume that's a C.
Yeah, it was definitely Scorpio Sky.
Yeah, it was just a Scorpio Sky. Yeah, Scorpio Sky's heel promo.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll do some heel stuff and won't just lose instantly like every other heel.
Let's have him win. Moving on from there, Fenix versus Angelico. Fenix wins. Thoughts and scores?
Nice
I didn't ever think I'd be mad or upset at a Phoenix match, but here it is. No entrance for Angelico, so you know he's powerful. Didn't get to watch him dance for 10 minutes to the ring.
I'm so sad.
Did untape Phoenix's back, though, which I've never seen done in a match. I have never seen somebody actively take the muscle tape off somebody, so I like that.
Yeah.
It was boring until the break, and then we came back into Phoenix winning with Arana and the full Phoenix repertoire, and it was much better. And he did a cool counterfix bomb and some weird spinny shit. And it ended. I wrote down what and gave it a D. That's my review.
I liked that Angelico had someone that could wrestle his style. That was quite cool for him.
Yeah.
Because no one could ever wrestle Angelico properly, so that was something. Yeah, I gave it a low C. It wasn't particularly exciting or anything, match.
I gave it low C, hurt by the ad break. I think at the ad, because this one actually had an ad break in it, not just the picture.
You didn't get to see the turn either.
Yeah.
Angelico was kicking shit out of him. They came back and Phoenix won. Yeah. And I was like, no.
Yeah, so
you guys have rounded up to a C, so good work, team.
As for Angelico's entrance, don't forget Matt and Nick do listen, so it is possible that Ruth's hatred of Angelico's dancing might have actually, you know, that might have been.
Like his dancing.
Yeah, but you have commented on how much Ruth hates it. You know, and she does make T-shirts for AEW wrestlers.
She does.
I'm getting rid of her. She's not allowed to be mentioned on the podcast again. If she's
getting rid of my fiance.
I'm getting rid of her. If she's getting rid of my dancing around a helico, she's gone.
So, moving on from there, Miro and Kip promo.
Brilliant.
Thoughts and scores?
I had a great time. They want to wrestle you again. Why? Brilliant. Miro's getting better. The wife at ringside joke made someone off camera laugh. That made me laugh. This was a good Miro, a good heel Miro. I gave it a B. I thought this was really good character development. Showed where their team is. Good stuff. Made me chuckle.
It scares me that they're going to turn Kip face.
He'll be fine. Little British boy with Harry Potter named moves being face.
He's got a face moveset, but he's one of the few people that he's so good as a heel. He's so good as a heel.
Yes, but we're not allowed heels, Morg. Yeah. You know this.
But this is me saying it. That's the problem. Moving on from there, Dark Order promo. Thoughts and scores?
I wrote down, oh no, -1, then what the fuck, and then I laughed at the chant of meat.
The meat chant always gets me. I'm not gonna lie.
Meat.
So when they'd come up with this as that one of the Dark Order, because Darby, and that was the other thing that also liked, just to throw back to the Sting and Darby Allin promo, was Darby Allin doing the "I want to be a fighting champion." Don't chant the fact that I've only defended this 3 times because that's crap, and I want the Dark Order want a chance of getting this back. Me and the Raptor were like, so who's going to face him? We were like, it's got to be John Silver, surely. I didn't mind. I think they played the -1 bit well with him going, it's going to be me, and then we're going, no, back in your box. You know, I thought that was maybe in a few years. That made me giggle. It was silly. It was all right. It was a high C. I think it was good. And
it would have been a B if it was Stu Grayson, though.
Oh, yes. Well, that was who I wanted.
Yes, mate.
Before we move on to the end of the show, I've got a note written at the top of this page, which I'm sure was relevant at some point, but it is entirely based off the fact that Layla Hirsch is Russian. It says Layla Hirsch should tame Bear Country and keep them like Russian pets. I'm from Russia. I keep Bear.
Little balls, you know, in her little cars, like at the circus.
Yeah, exactly. She just goes, no, you are my bears now. I'm from Russia. Come here. She might be Ukrainian. That would be offensive if I got it wrong.
I believe she is from Moscow.
She is from Russia.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Originally from Moscow, Russia is her...
Yeah, but no, I would be down with a ludicrous gimmick, because I love ludicrous gimmicks.
Russian with 2 bears. Wonderful.
Yes, mate. If you go that stupid, I could instantly buy it.
Right. Now I've got the best part of the fucking show. Let's do this.
Oh, thank God for that. I wasn't sure.
I would like to say that this show is a high D so far. This was probably the worst episode of Dynamite I've seen up to this because the lights go out at this point, so that's the end of the Dynamite show.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, officially. Obviously, we're not going to review it like that because we all know it counts. Britt Baker with Rebel versus Thunder Rosa in an unsanctioned lights out match. Thunder Rosa wins with the Thunder Driver through a table. What were your guys' thoughts on the match and what scores did you give it?
Oh, as a snob of hardcore matches, I think I'm the one of us who loves rougher wrestling the most.
Oh, I don't know, but we'll...
This was great.
I think it's usually me and you.
We had a great fucking strong start on this. Just solid brawling. Nothing too amazing at the start, but that's called pacing, you know. We had great fucking corner elbows from Britt. We had all the chairs and a fucking great suplex.
How many chairs did Reba just keep throwing in? It made me piss.
More chairs.
It made me piss. Every time it cut to her, she was just chucking in more chairs. I love her. She's so funny for me. I fucking love Rebel.
Rosa's facial expressions throughout this. The two women in this match wear their characters on their faces now, and it's wonderful. That corner ladder drop kick face thing was wicked. We got full TLC. We had the full staple. We had the entire smorgasbord of things you expect in a hardcore match.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit worried that Britt's a haemophiliac or something, because God, does
she bladed too deep, mate.
No, she. I think that she took tips off Dustin on how to blade, and should have taken tips off Thunder Rosa on how to blade.
I don't think she overdid it. It wasn't that It wasn't Dustin level. Great spots. We had that avalanche DDT on the DVD on the ladder. That was fucking brutal. The head stomp on the chair with the cell was great. I was a bit confused when Britt obviously went and got the bag of pins, and everybody's like, "My God, what's in that bag?" It's clearly a bag of pins, guys.
Now I said this. The Raptor did point out it could have been D4s.
It's only happened once. They didn't use D4s. They used mixed D10s and D6s because D4s are the worst thing in the world.
They would have killed Avalon. Avalon would have died.
But either way, we had the full fucking selection of hardcore things. I loved the escape from the lockjaw by just rolling her onto the pins. That was wicked. The table fire thunder driver finisher looked cool. And although I love the pin, I love the fact it was next to the ruined table, next to the apron. It didn't look cinematic. It looked dirty. It looked gross.
It was just dead there. Yeah.
I love the fact that this was a lights out falls count anywhere match, and the fall did not happen in the ring.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to give the full credit this deserves. Like, both women looked like they were actually in pain at the end of this, which, is normal in wrestling. Things do hurt, but they don't normally have to wear it on their face. This was an AEW women's match. It was a full half an hour, unique main event with colour.
Yep.
We have never had them dedicate to their women's league like this, and it was great. I didn't give it an S. I only gave it an A.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it quite crossed that boundary where I'll send this to all my mates and stuff.
No.
But this was fucking great, and I loved it.
All I can say is Britt Baker's best look, her fucking best look,
bleeding.
is when she's covered in blood. She doesn't look as good until she's fucking covered in blood and she's looking like she's in pain. Then her character comes out fully. And I think it's great. I don't think I can say much negative about this match. It was fucking great. It was solid. It was everything you could want from a hardcore match. They did all the spots. Nothing really was stood out as being botchy or any sort of issue with it. I think it's a solid A. Quite a high A.
It's borderline S. Now I've talked about it again. I just don't think it quite crossed that line of breaking paradigms for me.
No, because it was just a really good hardcore match. And because, I want to say, if it was me just going, AEW women's is normally rubbish, this is an S compared to the rest of it. Yeah, fair enough. But in a normal rating it as equal, down the line, it's just an A. It doesn't cross that line.
Morg's going to tell us he gave it an S now.
I think you might have just talked me out of it. No, I was high A, and then when you were re-describing it, I was going, you know what? I think this is an S. And I was actually sitting here thinking, you know what? And it was when you did that first description, story coming in, story going out. This was a phenomenal hardcore match. I mean, this is up there. This is up there in my top 5 favorite hardcore matches now. And it's it's probably the highest rated women's hardcore match that I can just off the top of my head think of.
I agree with you.
This might be my favourite AEW's women match ever.
I think this is the best AEW women's match they've had. It was the main event. And you were listing all these things, and I'm sitting here going, you know what? I think it might be an S. Muir has talked me down.
I'm sorry to have to do
it's definitely an A/S.
Yes, mate.
It's great.
This was a really, really, and hopefully the dice will roll, and we can discuss hardcore matches.
This was the show for me.
Yeah, this was a high A. I really enjoyed this match. I thought it was really good. I like a hardcore match when you use them sparingly. When I first got back into wrestling and got into wrestling really solidly was when a little promotion called ECW was happening, and although I couldn't get to watch it properly, I was a massive fan of ECW just from reading the dirt sheets, reading Power Slam magazine every week, and any bit of ECW I could find on the internet when I was round at my mate who had the internet, who was also liked wrestling, that I could get to watch. I would be lapping it up. So I like a good hardcore match.
I'm down with you.
This one was good. The pins, the moment with the pins was just so original. Britt Baker taking that pin shot, and oh my god, I didn't think either of them were going to. I was like, no, you don't. Whoa, yeah, it's a high A.
100%.
They were just wrestlers.
The savior of the show. Yeah, they were just. They weren't women's wrestlers. That's the thing. They weren't displayed like anything other than two women who went out to kick the shit out of each other. It was glorious.
This is what I loved about the NXT women's division when it was this, and if you can keep this going, I said after this match that Thunder Rosa is someone you can build this division around, and they've been trying to build it around Britt. This Britt and this Thunder. Now the Raptor turned around and said, "Well, no, you shouldn't build a division around one person." And I kind of said, I agree with you. And I disagree with her because
division,
but
you
that
need
is
to build it around one person and then expand it from there.
That is how. Yeah, that is. I didn't want to argue with her because I knew exactly what she meant. But that is actually how you build a division in wrestling.
You build her as the anchor.
Yeah, you have
right,
an anchor.
But she's also not right.
Yeah. And I wasn't going to argue because she's completely right. You build it around the entire division, but you now have a linchpin for it, a keystone.
You've got to have a figurehead
in these two. These two, and I think Thunder Rosa is over enough as a babyface and is coming across as a badass, battling, great wrestling babyface, and you've got other people now that you can build into that.
Wonderful.
Britt's got to win the title, and Thunder Rosa's got to take it off her in 6 to 12 months. Britt's got to have a bitchy heel run now.
I would have Britt win the title, Thunder Rosa lose to her first time, then get another step later down to win the final match as a rubber match to win the belt.
Well, you've got that thing. They can use that thing that Kenny was using against Mox 6 months down the line. Britt, you've never beaten me, not on paper.
Yeah, stand up. Yeah, fair.
And I think that's so. Yeah, Mr. Strange. Through the power of maths and science.
Not the best show we've had.
No.
So with everything combined, we've ended up with a C rank show. But I think it's a Morg soundbite for this show.
It's all right.
But with an additional 5 minuses for Mexican abuse.
Yeah.
It's a C minus with a fantastic end.
Yeah, the ending is the only thing stopping this from being a D show for me.
Go and watch
You've got to watch that final match.
Yeah, watch the Mox Kingston promo and watch this match.
Yep, no, that's legit.
Oof.
So there you have it. That's our review for the week. Not one of our more positive weeks, which is a bit of a shame after a year. I have to admit.
Well, unfortunately, I think it was just bad dice rolls, and we got a show that wasn't particularly. It was
we have had a run of good shows.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. We were due a bad one. It's just a shame it's on the anniversary.
Yeah.
So, what did you think of the show? What are your thoughts? You can send us thoughts, questions, something to rant about. All to wrestleopinionated@gmail.com, WrestleOP on Facebook, and WrestleOP1 on Twitter. Maybe you have a particular match that you would like us to review.
Find a way to elevate us.
I was trying to think of
Maybe you've got a terrible match you'd like us to review. There's a thought.
Oh God, there's a challenge.
Find something terrible for us to review and see if I can actually come up with something positive about it.
Randy versus Edge.
We've already reviewed Randy versus Edge.
I'm never watching that match again. I'll die first.
I did expect when the Fiend came out from underneath for one moment, I was like, it's going to be Edge. It's not going to be the Fiend. It's going to be Edge. So, favourite matches. We have spent, to give Mr. Muir, who is the guy who usually comes up with our discussion pieces, a bit of time to come up with some ideas. We've had a big run of reviewing some of our favourite matches. We are now down to... We're heading towards the final few. We have 3 left after today. Today was Mr. Strange's last choice.
Best for last.
Do you want to give the background story to this match?
Explain 7 years of backstory to this match now, Strange. Go on.
He's done it before. He's done it before. Just quickly, sorry. It's Naito versus Okada at Wrestle Kingdom 14.
Night 2.
Yeah, Night 2. Over to you,
Double
Mr. Strange.
dash.
Double gold dash. So Tetsuya Naito is the forever not champion of NJPW. When he first came out several years ago, he was as the rising star. He was essentially ignored and sort of bullied out of the company, where he went to Mexico with Andrade as La Sombra and founded Los Ignorables, the Ungovernables. After his time there, because everybody in NJPW goes on excursion, he came back with his I don't give a fuck about you or anything attitude and founded Los Ignorables de Japón. And people fucking loved him. They love him. He didn't give a shit anymore. He walked out, won a belt, would throw it on the floor, and he was like, ugh.
Disrespectful little bastard.
He could never beat the really good guys. He could never get that title. And every time when he was younger and older, his title was cost to him by not pulling off the Stardust press. Technically his finisher.
Yeah.
Technically. He goes up against Okada, who is some kind of like Rock Ric Flair Japanese hybrid. The true rising champion. This young fucking stud. The final boss of professional wrestling, and that's really how he sold. He fought him the year before for the title and lost. Naito's legacy is a legacy of being not quite there for 7 years. This is the concluding match. Go on.
As you can see on his entrance when he comes into the match, he's a big baseball fan, but his entrance to this is him standing at the plate for that last time and all the zeros lining up that he's failed, and then this one's going to be the 2 that he wins as he's waiting to enter into this match.
Oh, so good. Good. I mean, I can just dive into this because I've got like a page of A4 of notes, boys.
Before we start, I'd like to say how much I miss crowds and how much I miss Gino, the color commentator of NJPW, because he is one of my favorite commentators. I fucking love him.
He's wonderful. And find somebody who loves you as much as Kevin Kelly loves shouting Destino. Right. Naito's in the ring and Okada comes out with possibly the greatest coat ever made for wrestling. It's wonderful and it shows up. We get the start with Red Shoes, who is a very famous ref over there. He's incredibly popular, doing the measuring of the crowd cheers between them. Just good stuff to build up to it. Slower start, but Japan's known for its slower start and build of wrestling. You know, a bit of pacing. We get a very long collar and elbow tie-up where they push back. Okada gets in his fucking chest slaps and such like, and we go into some rope running.
Yep.
Once again, it's this slow-paced match. You've got Okada who fights in this very clean, crisp, classic American style. We're talking DDTs, drop kicks, tombstones, versus a shabby tramp man who fights like a dirty luchador. And they go through everything. You see classic moves versus cool moves. You see nobody just strikes and hurts necks like Japan. Everything they sell in this match has got fucking weight. We're talking punches with weight, neck drops with weight. Everything looks like it hurts. Okada pulls off some cool stuff. He does the highest pancake slash flapjack move I've ever seen.
Mate, on it. Like he hovers in the air before being slammed into the ground. It's horrendous.
Yeah.
I love
we get
Carbone by Naito.
It's one of my favorite. That's the move where he jumps over the turnbuckle, kicks out their legs, and drop kicks them in the face. Morg, just so you know, the combination Cabron. Naito has the coolest named moves in wrestling. He's got the combination Cabron, Valencia, Gloria, and Destino. Wonderful. Okada does a drop kick on Naito whilst he sat on the turnbuckle and knocks him out of the ring.
That's horrendous.
Then we get the knee slams on the floor. The commentary team is selling Naito's bad knees and the fact Jay White had fucked him the night before. And Okada is, as much as he is a face in quotation marks, he is winning this match in his action. He slammed those legs into the floor, and it's wonderful. And then Naito is out of the ring for the count out. You get 20 seconds in Japan. 20 long seconds. He's
I was going to say, they're not 20 long ones. They count a lot faster, though.
Yeah, they do. And then Naito drops at the gate at 16. It's the count that ruined tension for me. And he's not back on his feet till 18. He is barely into there, and he gets back into the ring, and Okada instantly drop kicks him in the face. It's just awful. We get to see... regular listeners to this show will know that I am a big fan of the Tornado Step Up DDT. I am a huge fan of it, and it's in Naito's repertoire. He counters a Rainmaker into a Tornado DDT, and he kicks off the top rope. There's no stepping on the middle rope for Naito. He's on that top rope and round. Into a high-angle Gloria that made me shout oof at the TV. We get a top rope Hurricanrana from him. We get a top rope Poison Rana from him.
Poison Rana looked like it killed Okada.
The one where Okada landed on his head.
Yes, mate.
Japan, mate.
I loved the knee spot where Okada slammed his knee through the table that you missed earlier in the match. Fucking hell.
Those tables look really fucking solid.
Yes, mate.
We get our first slip/botch at 25 minutes into this match, where Naito's pulling off one of his flying forearms from the rope, and Okada doesn't quite catch him, but they roll through it and settle it fine. I love Naito's flying elbows. I love the move that he hits the ropes and just comes back in the air. Completely blows every fucking paradigm in wrestling for me, where you throw somebody into a rope, you run back and forwards for 4 minutes and somebody does a move. You throw Naito into that rope, he comes back as a weapon, and then Okada drop kicked him out of it in midair. That was awful. Didn't like that. We get our first finisher of a Rainmaker at 26 minutes in.
Yep.
Just fucking going. In my notes, as it says, love anything like Kevin Kelly, love shouting Destino. These two boys, men, are wearing pain and exhaustion on their face when we get that proper hair-grabbing chopper on the knees. Okada does pull off a tombstone, which I hate, but he does do a spinning tombstone, so it's away from the camera, so it doesn't look too bad.
Clever lad.
Yeah, clever lad. We get the Naito defiance moment as he's fucked. He thinks he's lost, and he just spits in Okada's face. And then Okada knee slams him from about 5 feet up as he's just pulling it.
Booing!
Nobody boos Okada. It's unreal. He pulls off the Destino and lands on his knee, and that's pulled into it even more, and it's brilliant. He does the Stardust Press in the Tokyo Dome at Wrestle Kingdom. He finally pulls off his first and best original finisher, the one that's meant to have taken him home all this time, and it doesn't get the count.
No.
Because that is not Naito's finisher. That's the Stardust Kid's finisher. Naito's finisher, the one of who this shabby tramp man in his heart, is the fucking Destino. And he pulls off a wicked Destino at the end for the 1, 2, 3. This match has just fucking so much weight in it. The catharsis of the storytelling, The year before this, I'd never heard of Naito going into the G1. And I was like, who's this shabby tramp man? He seems interesting. Then at the end of that one, it's the first time I've ever marked out when he didn't win his title shot. And I threw a fucking chair and shouted, this is bullshit. The catharsis of this story, of this man I'd never known. I watched everything. I even watched the post-match. Did you watch the post-match, Morg?
Yes, I did. No.
Okay,
I always mute myself when you guys are talking.
That's fine.
Yes, I did watch the post-match. I also made sure that the Raptor watched the post-match because of
it's all the story into it.
Things.
The Naito roll call is a thing he's always done whenever he's won a big match. He does it at most shows when he's in the final. When he goes through all the member of Los Ignorables, shouts Los Ignorables de Japón, the crowd goes fucking crazy.
Mental.
Watch some footage of it because you won't see it in this match. And as he's about to have this 7-year moment of triumph, Kenta runs in and slaps him in the back of the head and fucks it for him. Story in, story out. End of a massive conclusion, rise of your new heel. I fucking love this match and I could keep going. But that's it. I've explained everything to you. What are your boys' opinions?
My favourite was the fake out punch where he tried to fake punch to Kakada and then just kicks him in the dick. Beautiful. Tells me everything I need to know about this character. I can't say much more about this match. This match makes you not want to watch the rest of wrestling because it's just the perfect keystone to the end of wrestling. You know, there's no more wrestling after this, boys. Wrestling's done. You don't need to watch anymore.
Big upside from the other Japan matches. Commentary. English commentary really helped.
To explain what's going on for you, yeah. I felt that pain for you. On the Morg.
So, yeah, really enjoyed this. A very slow start, and I was worried. I was like, this is one of the things with these kind of main event. And this is a problem with main event matches all over. There are some, the slow build-up doesn't always grab me. But it built and built and built, and when Okada hit the Rainmaker, I was like, oh. Well, that's not anticlimactic in the match, but there's the fact that I knew the story going in with Naito, but I didn't know who won. I'd very carefully, I couldn't remember who won, and I thought it was Naito, and then he hit the Rainmaker, and I'm like, well, that's a bit like the One-Winged Angel, isn't it? Shit. Well, that's a bit and then Naito kicked out, and I was, okay, this just got more interesting. And then he went, I loved all the countering the Rainmaker, because it made that move feel so special, so that when Okada hit it, I was like, oh, shit.
It's dead, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. And I know how that... And if you don't think a clothesline can be a finisher...
Unwind it and have Kevin Kelly shout Rainmaker.
Yeah, to be fair, but yeah, this was really good. Really enjoyed it. I know the story going in. I know the story going out. It's got to be an S because of I know that. If I'd watched it without knowing that, it would have been a high A for the match.
Yeah, I get that.
But I'm not as invested in that, so I certainly wasn't invested as you were. And we've got 3 matches left, and I wonder if we will get a similar result with one that's coming up and one of mine, with a similar one of mine's. But yes, this was really good. It was solid. God, it was brutal. The thing that sticks in my head was that Poison Rana. That's apart from kicking out of the Rainmaker, the Poison Rana. Just dumps him on his head. There is no...
That's Japanese wrestling, mate.
Never watch Ibushi versus Naito. Those two are best friends and they try to kill each other.
All the best matches are people who are best friends and trust each other.
Yes, mate.
That's why Charlotte... Go on.
I'm not sure that Ibushi and Naito trust each other. I just think they try to kill each other in the ring. They like going on roller coasters together.
Yeah.
I mean, also, I've got the added thing that, like, I like a lot of wrestlers, and two of my absolute favorite wrestlers are Japanese. As much as I would like to be, I would like Kagetsu to be my spirit animal. Naito is my spirit animal. He's a lazy, antagonistic, trampy piece of shit who wins through making people angry. I love him.
So there you have it. That's our review. Are you ready to roll the dice and see what's for next week?
Phil.
It isn't.
Let's do it.
I know exactly what this is. You know that we talked about hardcore matches?
Ooh.
And we talked about one of us being a fan of a hardcore match.
Dante Fox versus Killshot.
God.
Oh, it is. And I'd just like to point out in our thing that one of us chose a hardcore match in our top 5 matches.
Yeah, but you'd already chosen this one.
To be fair.
God. This is a fucking brutal match.
So,
don't watch this if you're squeamish at all.
Thank you.
Seriously.
I was just about to say, I joked about this with the Penta match that some people might find the Black Lotus because of the male on female violence. This match, I do say quite honestly, if you have been watching or you're thinking of watching the match, we will put a link up to it. I'll try and put a link up to it if I can find one on the Facebook page. If you are in any way squeamish or do not like hardcore matches, this match is probably not for you.
If you don't want to look at a stretcher and go, is that a little chunk of flesh?
Yeah.
Don't watch this match.
But next week, we return back to, I think, Wrestleopinionated's spirit animal, Lucha Underground, for Dante Fox versus Killshot in the Horrors of War match.
It is Horrors of War. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah, this is a hardcore match. So much so that the Raptor has been watching a lot of these matches with me, she did state that one, she's glad she saw it, but she isn't going to watch it again with me.
I can't blame her.
Unfortunately, you two have got to watch it again.
Oh, I'm down with watching it. I enjoy it.
I love this shit.
So that's our show for the week. I'd like to say thanks to Anchor.fm for hosting the podcast. You can find us Wrestleopinionated on YouTube, on Anchor.fm, and on Spotify. Over to you, Mr. Muir.
Thank you for listening. May all your stocks rise as much as Tam's do. And if you'd like to send anything in to us, please send it into wrestleopinionated@gmail.com, WrestleOP on Facebook, and WrestleOP1 on Twitter. Over to you, Strange.
Keck, what a hardcore legend. Thanks for listening again. Please like, share, subscribe, hit a little comment, hit a little bell thing if there is one. Share it to your friends. It really does mean a lot to us that you actually take your time to listen to us. Send in anything you want us to watch. We'll watch anything. I'll be sarcastic about it.
Yep.
Tranquilo Athenaio. Back to you, Morg.
So all that's left to be said is goodbye and good night.